What's up, you guys? I'm Dan. This is Frugal Not Cheap. Let's see how my investments performed in 2022. Well, there's no sugarcoating it. My portfolio took a big hit in 2022. That shouldn't be any surprise if you've been paying attention to the news at all. 2022 was just not a good year for stocks, and actually not a great year for bonds either. So what I thought we'd do today is go over the different holdings in my portfolio and how each of those performed. Luckily, I've only got 4 holdings in my portfolio, so it's going to be pretty simple. Longtime viewers will know that my main 2 holdings are the Vanguard Total US Stock Market Index and the Vanguard Total International Stock Market Index. Towards the end of the year, I converted my holdings from the mutual fund version, so VTSAX and VTIAX for US and international respectively, to VTI and VXUS, the ETF versions of these mutual funds. I did that to give me greater flexibility if I act on my plan for geographical arbitrage to retire early abroad. It's just there's fewer restrictions around the trading of ETFs, whereas trying to buy new shares of the mutual funds while you're living abroad can be more difficult, just, I don't know, regulations, what have you. In any case, VTI, so again my US stock market index, closed 2021 at $237.57 and ended the year 2022 at $191.19. So that was a loss of 19.5%, basically a 20% decline, 1/5. Interestingly, and largely I think due to a bit of a rebound in the latter half of the year for non-US equities, VXUS went from $61.63 at the end of 2021 to $51.72 at the end of 2022. That was still a drop of 16.1%, but not as bad as the drop in the US market. And some of you may have watched my video that came out some months ago where I'd switched to 50/50 US international. So it looks like I may have gotten a little bit lucky at this stage anyway with that timing. But again, you know, I'm not in favor of market timing. This was just a move made to rebalance to what I think should be the long-term ratio between US and international equities in my personal portfolio. So those are the two main ones. They really make up the vast majority of my portfolio. I've only got 2 little individual stock holdings. So one of them, of course, is Tesla. I did a video recently about how that performed in 2022. Oh man. Check that if you're curious for more details on what I feel about the company over the long run. But in any case, their stock price closed at $352.26 at the end of 2021 and fell to $123.18 at the end of 22. So that was still a 65% decline, pretty marked. And yeah, that was even though the Tesla shares, my Tesla holdings are not anywhere near, you know, a large portion of my portfolio, because this drop was so sharp of 65%, it definitely did actually pull down my overall portfolio's performance to some degree. Like it was noticeable just because that drop was so significant, even though the Tesla holdings were a small portion of my overall portfolio. So that kind of hurt, although you'll see in my Tesla video if you watch it that I did buy some more shares actually on December the 27th at a cost of around $110. So far as of this filming today, that has actually performed fairly well. We'll see what the rest of the year has in store for us. No one's got a crystal ball, but I feel good about my holdings in this company. My last holdings, and these were by far the smallest because I only own 1 share of Berkshire Hathaway stock, was actually the best performing, go figure. So my shares of BRKB went from $299 to $308.90 for a gain of 3.3%. So nice to see, but again, just 1 share by far, you know, the smallest thing. I just have it to have a discount on my Geico auto insurance because Berkshire Hathaway shareholders, so you can prove that to them, gives you a good discount on your Geico. I would at some point like to move to Tesla insurance, but here in the Texas market it's just not competitive against Geico, given all the discounts that I have. I think in large part because it's done through a third party, someone called Redpoint. I don't know anything about them, but Tesla is supposed to be bringing all the underwriting in-house within the coming months here in Texas. So at that stage, probably in March or April, I'm going to just look for another quote, see if they're competitive yet or not. Fingers crossed, we'll see. see. On the other hand, though, too, you know, insurance isn't just about what you pay for it while you have it. It's also about how the claims process goes. And I don't know. I'm a little sketch on how that's going to go. We'll see. Maybe once it's you know, all in-house with Tesla, it'll be better. But right now, with Redpoint, even if they'd been competitive, I think I would have been reticent just because, yeah, too many hands could have been kind of a mess. Anyway, big tangent, sorry about that. So overall, my portfolio definitely took a hit. If we look at VTI and VXUS as being the main components of my portfolio, we can say roughly that's a 17.8, you know, basically 18% drop, right? So yeah, ouch. However, you can see I'm smiling, I'm not worried. Again, you know, this is all long-term stuff. I'm not gambling on what the performance is going to be in my portfolio for any given year. And in fact, last year provided some opportunities. So first, you know, the good news is that my earnings power has been relatively high right now, higher than it has been the rest of my life. And so that meant as valuations were falling, I was able to buy in at cheaper and cheaper shares. And so that was good. The other thing that I was able to do was to do some tax loss harvesting, where I sold some mutual funds, bought a different but, you know, somewhat similar mutual fund in order to harvest those losses, waited 30 days and then bought back to the original. And then finally, again, it provided that opportunity to rebalance. I think at the time when I rebalanced, I had to sell some US stuff, buy some international. I recently rebalanced again because my international stuff was getting overweight and went back to 50-50. So I was able to capture some gains by doing that as well. Moving forward, I plan to rebalance just once a year in January, and I'll go back to that 50-50 US international. So again, long run, I feel good about my holdings. We can see that really a lot of what happened with both of these is that in the pandemic, we had quite a run-up. We had really an inflation of asset valuations, crazy stuff happening with like SPACs and just all kinds of, you know, things being funded that probably shouldn't have been funded, right, in people's attempts to chase yield. And so we've kind of come off, and a little bit of that, you know, frothiness has been removed from the market. Yeah, so that seems, you know, maybe appropriate. I don't really know exactly where PE ratios should be and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, what these two holdings, these two ETFs that I bought into provide me is really a large amount of diversification. I own tiny shares in tons and tons of different companies. VTI provides me exposure to 4,026 stocks here in the US, and VXUS gives me exposure to 7,955 international companies. So long term, of course, I do feel like this is an appropriate portfolio for me. If I had a different risk tolerance, I might want to have some bonds in there or what have you. But anyway, yes, it's not fun to watch the numbers go down like they did in 2022, but still feel good about the long run. And let's see what 2023 has in store for us. Hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.